What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lock and Cash podcast. It's Friday, January 9th, as we get ready to wrap up the week or the market for the week in the NFL for Wild Card Weekend. So earlier in the week, if you didn't catch the episode, I did go through every game, go a little bit lengthier in depth with matchups and things like that, and talk about opening spreads and lines. And today we're going to kind of wrap up what we've seen in the week so far. I'll go over some of the line movement that's happened because there has been some. I'll tell you what I know for a fact that some sharp bettors are on, some pro bettors, and we'll discuss some of the matchups and some of my thoughts too. Because sometimes I look at the games on Monday or Tuesday, have a certain opinion, gather more information throughout the week, see which way the market goes as well, see how my bets go because I placed them early, so then I kind of see, did the market go with me? Did the market go against me for some reason? And then my viewpoint usually stays the same, but sometimes changes towards the end of the week. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. Last night, we did hit a play with Miami, so that was nice to get a win. Also 3-0 in college hoops. We've been running well in college basketball. Tonight, we have Indiana versus Oregon. By the way, if you have not checked it out, I have a video up on that game. So if you want to see what I am doing with Indiana versus Oregon, on Friday night, go check that out. But we will get over to Saturday, and we started off with the Rams and the Panthers. You've got 10.5s every single place you can possibly look here with totals of 46 to 45.5. So I can tell you for a fact that the line movement here was on LA. I know that's a little bit surprising. 9.5 was the early look ahead on this game, which was the same line when they first played each other. And then 10 started popping up and the sharps came in and they hit the 10 again. So I know pro bettors that are on minus 10 in this game with the Rams. And now we're seeing 10.5. This did touch 11 in some spots. That's worth noting. But general consensus here, I've seen Rams and the under, and I've seen a lot of the guys that I've spoken to who acknowledge the fact that you have you have trends that will tell you to take these massive home dogs are just basically auto bets. Especially in the NFL playoffs, they do really well when they're catching so many points at home. But a lot of the people that I spoke to just say, hey, this Carolina team is not a playoff team. Like, they shouldn't be here. So it's a little bit different when you're catching this big of a number with a team that, I mean, they finished 8-9. They backed their way into the playoffs with 2 straight losses to end the season. So I just think you're getting it's a little bit different with this Carolina team. And the vibe here that I'm getting from a lot of the sharp sources that I talked, and I agree with it, is that the Rams are going to blow them out. And we talked about it earlier in the week as well, that even though it's a big number, numbers wise, you got to lean to the Panthers, but just situationally, I think the spot is good for the Rams. It's a revenge game. And that first game they lost outright to Carolina. It could have as just as easily won that game by 10 plus because it was fluky stuff, right? It was a pick six, it was turnovers, it was a huge 4th down conversion. It was in the rain. And I know they're saying it is supposed to rain again this weekend. We'll see. But once that happens to you as a really good team, I think the Rams are still the best team in the NFL. Once you do experience something like that and have that bad loss, it really tends to not happen again. So I think the Rams will win in this game. As for myself, I've done is taken the Rams in some money line parlays. I have not touched the spread in this game. I've used them kind of as my automatic leg. So pairing them up with another team like maybe Philly or whatever other team you like. Let's say you like the Jaguars. You can get a little bit extra plus money price on the money line if you just add the Rams to it. Because I'd be absolutely stunned if the Rams lost this game. Second game on Saturday is the Packers at the Bears. This one has had some movement that we'll talk about. Pretty interesting. The opener on this game was 46.5 on the total. We're now down to 44.5s pretty much everywhere. The spread was, now this is one of those games that's bouncing back and forth across zero. You started off with Green Bay -1. Chicago got hit. It was Chicago -1.5. Green Bay got hit at 1.5. And now you're back to Green Bay -1.5, and it stayed there. And I've spoken to many, many people who are good pros who are on Green Bay in this game. One thing that I noticed was I was kind of split on this game earlier in the week, and then when I went back and watched the previous 2 games, because the first game I was on the Packers -6.5, which won. The second game I went back on the Packers again, but that was the game when Jordan Love got hurt and went to overtime, and it took a bunch of nonsense just to get it to overtime for Chicago. But going back and watching those 2 games, man, 7 out of 8 quarters, the Packers dominated this matchup. Ran the ball, got all over. Chicago couldn't move the ball at all against them. And just, for, like I said, 7 out of 8 quarters, it was Green Bay. Now you get Jordan Love back. They rested their team while the Bears played hard in week 18 and could not get a win. Um, I think the matchups here all favor Green Bay. I don't think this Packers team is elite. And once they lost Parsons, they're not full strength. Obviously, they're banged up, but you're going to get Tom back on the offensive line. You're going to get a rested, healthier Josh Jacobs. You're going to get Love back off the concussion, but he's had 2 weeks to rest off the concussion. And the Bears just don't go look at the Bears' defensive metrics. I know they're trending up in terms of health on their defense, but it's not pretty, man. When they don't get pressure, it's bad. They're very, very bottom 5 in yards per play, bottom 5 in EPA. And Jordan Love, when he gets time to throw the ball, he's the best. He's number 1 EPA per play in the NFL. And he's going to have time in this game, just like he did in the first 2 games before he got hurt. So I like the Packers in this one. I agree with the way the market has taken it, pushing them back up to being a favorite. I do think they should be favored in this game, so I like Green Bay. The Bills versus the Jags get us started on Sunday. Still, Buffalo -1.5 pretty much everywhere. If you see any ones, it means the Jaguars got hit. There were ones. They went back to 1.5. Listen, you're basically splitting hairs at this point. This is a pick 'em game with 2 teams that I think are very even, 2 offenses that can put up points, 2 defenses that, although they have their weaknesses, they also have their strengths. It's just going to be remember, this is kind of like strength on both sides of the ball, which makes it interesting because even though the Jags do have a decent rushing offense, it's teetered off a little bit towards the second half of the season. They've done more through the air, especially after they acquired Jacoby Myers. It's kind of been more of Lawrence making plays with his arm. So you have that aspect of their passing attack, which has been electric, against the Bills secondary that's number 1 in passing yards allowed, top 5 in a lot of passing defensive metrics. So this is a good pass defense against a good pass offense. And then you flip it around on the other side, and the Bills are an elite rushing attack with James Cook and with Josh Allen when he runs. So you've got that aspect, but you've got the Jaguars who are top 7 stopping the run. There's a good rushing defense. So you've got strength on both sides. So even though everyone's expecting a lot of points, I am too basically expecting a lot, because I think this is one of those games where if you're an under better, maybe go first half. Like, I think this game will maybe start off a little bit of a feeling out session, but I think like what you saw last night with Miami Ole Miss, like it was a grind for 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter, the offenses just came alive. I think you could see that happen in this game as well. And then the over can cash late with like some miracle plays. So now, I admittedly said this is the hardest game of the week to pick for me. I slightly lean Buffalo, but I did tease Jacksonville up in a 10-point teaser. So plus 11.5. I do think that's your best move. Listen, you're only going to get 4 games next week. So have the chance to have 6 games this week, and you have a couple of legs that are good for 10-point teasers, like the Rams down to a pick, taking any of these small home dogs up 10 points, I think is very valuable, especially in these types of games. So I tease Jacksonville up. I slightly lean Jacksonville. It's worth mentioning the Bills, one of the worst first half teams in the league, but the best second half team. So we saw that many times here. We saw it against the Pats. We saw it almost against the Eagles. A lot of these big games against good teams, they come out very slow, do almost nothing, and then just go nuts in the second half. So maybe that's an angle, maybe a live angle. If Buffalo gets down early, that could be some way to play this game. The 49ers taking on the Eagles, still 44.5, 46.5 was the opener earlier in the week. This has dropped a couple points on the total. Makes sense to me. And the Eagles, 3.5 on the open. I talked about this last week, how the FanDuel had a Philly -2.5 posted before week 18, and I did not jump on it. And I should have. I regret that. I leaned heavily towards the Eagles. That 2.5 was erased. 3.5, 4.5. Now we have video of Lane Johnson practicing. This now is up to 5.5. Then there was some rumors or videos that Trent Williams is practicing. Maybe he'll be okay. Then it got hit back down a little bit to 5. Listen, I'll just be honest. Anything below 7, I'm good on the Eagles. I think this is going to be an easy win. I think it's unfortunate, but the 49ers have done all they can this season, overcoming a shit ton of injuries, and I just think it comes to an end here. I don't think, the Eagles defense is just too good. They could not do anything against that Seahawks defense. You've still got a banged up Pearsall. You're like, the 49ers were down already to their second string linebacking core, and now you just lost 2 more guys. It's going to get ugly. I mean, they already cannot stop the run. I think this is a game where the Eagles can run the ball. I think they can attack their corners as well. just way too lopsided of a mismatch in terms of just talent and health. Not even matchup or anything like that. It's just a health game, and the 49ers are not healthy right now. So asking Purdy to go on the road and with a great, I mean, the Eagles have a phenomenal. Hurts when laying points as a favorite of less than a touchdown at home. He's 17-4 against the spread. I think this Eagles offense, which has been kind of shit on a lot this season, they faced a opposing schedule of very good defenses. I think they're going to get a break in this one, and they will probably end up winning this game by more than a touchdown. So I strongly lean to Philadelphia. I did play them in some moneyline parlays after I could not get on the 3. Missed the early 3 after that. I was like, you know what? This is a good moneyline parlay piece at a cheap price. Chargers taking on the Patriots is your Sunday night game. Still minus 3.5 across the board for New England, but it's been hit a little bit, as you'll notice the plus 3.5 on the Chargers side is juiced to minus 115 to minus 20. 46.5 was the total, got hit down to 45.5. I do think it's just a matter of time before threes come up, or either on Saturday night or Sunday morning for this game. So if you are looking to bet the Chargers and you're just thinking like, oh, maybe I get a better number, I don't think you're getting a better number. I think this is going the other way. So if you like the Chargers, I would grab a 3.5. If you like the Patriots, I would wait and see maybe Sunday morning you can get a flat 3. That's what I would do if I was attacking this game. I took the Chargers. All right, I tracked it on the Action app, by the way. Down in the description, you'll find a link. My free picks are all tracked on the Action app. I put it up on like Tuesday or something. So I like the Chargers plus 3.5 in this game. I think the matchup is very good for them. Spoken to some people that are on the Chargers, spoken to some people that are also on the Patriots. So this is probably, other than the Bills-Jaguars, this is the next game, which has been very split. For the other games, think about it. It's been mostly Rams, mostly Packers, and in terms of market money, mostly Eagles, all Eagles, actually. I don't know, I've spoken to anybody who likes the Niners. And then Chargers, Patriots has been very, very split, just like the Bills and Jaguars. So that's kind of why it's hanging at 3.5. But I do think that Chargers level will eventually give in and push this down to 3. I think it's a good matchup for them. A tested team, a veteran team, a tough, gritty defense against a Patriots team that really hasn't played anybody, that hasn't leveled up in competition in quite some time, and against a quarterback making his first start in the playoffs. And on the other side, I know the Chargers have offensive line issues, but this Patriots pass rush doesn't scare me at all. It's not by any stretch an elite pass rush. So I think the Chargers will be able to do some things. I think at the minimum, now I think they're very live for the upset, but at minimum, I think this is coming down to a field goal at the end of the game. So I want to be grabbing that 3 in the hook. Monday Night Football is Houston at Pittsburgh. Texans now minus 3. Across the board, basically 38.5. It's on the total's been the big move, was 40.5 down to 38.5. So a lot of under money, a lot of pros that I know like the under. It makes total sense with these two teams, how they play football, how the Steelers defense at home is very good. The Texans defense is very good everywhere. What you're getting offensively with these teams pretty much. For me, at 3 or better, I lean strongly to Pitt. I think they're just such a good home dog. And the Texans listen, you want to be enamored by the Texans' finish to the season. They played really well. They blew out most of their opponents. I'm not buying this offense at all. All right. I think they had a good stretch of games where they got hot. I don't think their offensive problems are fixed. I think against a defense like this, they can run into some issues. So in terms of pressure and things like that, plus on the road, this is a very tough place to play in prime time. The Steelers, there's that stat out there. They've won like 26 straight Monday night games at home. That is insane. It just shows you it's not, I don't put too much stock in those trends, but it just shows you that it's such a tough place to go get a win. Right. And then on top of that, asking the team to win by margin. You're going to need the Texans to win by more than 3. I just don't see it. At 3.5, I love Pitt. I love Pitt in teasers as well. And the pro money has been on Pittsburgh. So the 3.5s got taken out pretty quick. The 3s are getting taken out. Just like because right now most books are still going to have Houston minus 3, but it's going to be minus 105, minus 102. That indicates as the price going down, the 3s are going to be gone. So if you wait, let's say you like Houston in this game, wait. Because you are going to get a 2.5. You will get Houston minus 2.5 in this game if you're watching this video and you like the Texans. And that is obviously the king of key numbers. So if you can get below 3, you want to. You don't want to lay the 3. And you will get a chance to get below 3 because it's been nothing but Pitt money in the sharp market. So, and I agree, I do like the Steelers in the game. I think that I'm not going to, Houston could win the game, obviously. Nothing would surprise me in this one. But if I had to pick, I lean Steelers. I think they're going to win the game. All right, guys, that's Wild Card Weekend. That's a little bit of the wrap up and the market movement. If you didn't catch my first video, the first episode during the week, and you want more in depth stuff, a bit of a lengthier breakdown, go watch that video. I talk a little bit more about each game. But for this video, just wanted to wrap up the markets. And again, deals down below in the description, the Action app to get my free picks push notifications when I track a free pick. That's linked down in the description. And let me know what you guys like for this weekend. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next week for the divisional week episode.